All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. As everybody filters in and Pontem joins in, I think we have now them as a co-host. We'll have Alejo speaking from the Pontem side. I'm just going to give people a couple more minutes to filter in, but very excited to be here and appreciate everybody for joining us this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. Hey, Alejo, I think you're now on the Pontem side. Feel free to say hi to everybody. We'll give it a couple more seconds, and then we'll jump into all the formalities and start talking about what makes us both so excited about what we're doing here on the data side for Pontem.
Great. Awesome to be here and happy to be co-hosting this with you guys and excited to answer some of our community questions. So thank you all for joining.
Okay, why don't we just start with the introductions of each other, and as people filter in, as all of our marketing departments do their dance sharing that the AMA has started. Let's do that. So my name is Kash. I run DD and the index product here at DIA. I've been in the crypto space since late 2013. Built and sold an exchange business in 2016, and has spent time before this working in TradeBlock, helping to grow their index business. Joined DIA about a year ago, focusing on integrations and scaling out the product and making it accessible for folks like yourself and deploying it across a number of networks in the past year. Um, we're very excited, I'll say in short, about working with Pontem, continuing to support the substrate ecosystem. And we'll dig into all that later. But Aleja, why don't you just give a brief background about yourself and your positioning at the firm?
Yeah, awesome. So I come from traditional tech. I was at IBM for 4 to 5 years. Actually worked in their permission blockchain team, leading performance marketing there. Then I went to BlockFi through their exponential growth of going from one of the fastest growing unicorns. I've been specializing in marketing, growth marketing, now leading growth here at Pontem, making sure that we're fostering an inclusive community where people can contribute. And it's pretty interesting seeing how everyone can just have an opportunity to actually chime in and start working and helping build out the product, help building out the applications that will be built out on top of this, but also the necessary processes that need to be put in place for helping these protocols and products scale. So really excited to be working here with Dia. You guys are, as you mentioned, focusing on the substrate ecosystem and bringing on chain data from the other parachains, which is going to be imperative for some DeFi primitives, for example, to be built that are cross-chain across Kusama Polkadot. So
Yeah.
excited to make that a reality here.
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, thanks for that. So, as you said, you gave kind of taste of what we do here, dear. Yes, we are an Oracle data provider, so we're focusing on taking off-chain data and bringing that on-chain. Obviously, as we're all well aware, there's quite a few different ways you can approach doing that in terms of how you set up your infrastructure, in terms of decentralization or distributed architecture, in terms of the kind of data that you publish. We publish not only market price data, but also index data based on proprietary methodologies that we use based on traditional benchmarking frameworks and based on best practices in the equity index reference rate space. On top of that, we also have NFT data. So we've been scraping multiple NFT exchanges, multiple projects, creating a very standardized language set for potential customers, for potential users to query that data. And then lastly, we have a ton of DeFi credit data. So think lending and borrowing data, TVL rates, all those different things that investors and retail traders or retail participants rely on to test the temperature, get an understanding of what's happening in the DeFi credit space. A couple things about our Oracle solution. We focus much more on a distributed architecture. That leads us to doing things in a bit of a different way, which I think we can peel back a little bit later. But really, our big selling point is how we're managing and working with data. I think this is why Pontem was really interested in working with us. We solely don't just push data on chain. It's these custom indexes that we have that we've been building out for well over a year and a half now, that we're very excited about. Alejo, I want to give you some time to speak about Pontem. I know the substrate ecosystem is growing at a rapid pace. We have the first 5 parachain slots that are going live this Friday, the 17th. And I know Pontem is well positioned in that ecosystem, so I'll give you some time to talk about Pontem differences versus the other parachains. So yeah, go ahead.
Definitely. So, Pontem, we're building a decentralized and permissionless full capability dev environment for DM. DM is Meta, previously known as Facebook's um, permission blockchain. And we realized that there's a gap that needs to be filled between the permissionless and permission world. So we're providing not only a full smart contract platform so that people can build applications in a permissionless way that's connected to liquidity from Kusama and Polkadot, and also the broader crypto ecosystem like Ethereum and Bitcoin. That they can build these applications with the Move language, which is an entirely new language that Meta and the DM Association built for DM. Not only are we allowing people to use this technology, we're also integrating the necessary compliance features for these applications to adhere to the FATF Virtual Asset Service Provider framework. Now, it's pretty simple. Mainly, applications need to comply with KYC AML and travel rule in most local jurisdictions in order to launch their applications on DM. So, we want to partner with companies that are providing these services, the third party companies that are providing these services. So some of you might have heard that Aave Arc, for example, is working with Fireblocks, and soon also probably Securitize, as they put in a new governance proposal to essentially outsource the whitelisting of addresses for third parties. Now, if this is happening on Ethereum at an application level, you can imagine how silos can then start to happen between these different applications, and the idea of DeFi Legos, for example, coming together can be hindered. We want to provide on Polkadot essentially the entire protocol to have access to and be compliant with these virtual asset service provider framework that Fabric is putting out. That way, you can still have compatibility between these applications that are building together, and people can be rest assured that when they're interacting with other users in the network, that they've been screened against sanctions lists, so that they're essentially compliant fully. And you can also see that most centralized exchanges are also compliant with these laws, and it's I would imagine only a matter of time until DeFi and other decentralized applications also have to adhere to this. So, one, we're allowing applications to essentially get ready for launching on DM, and two, providing an alternative to DM by also adhering to the compliance frameworks that DM is adhering to.
Yeah, no, certainly. Thanks for that. I think we've definitely seen a push to. It's clear through a lot of the U.S. Languages how they're looking at vast virtual asset service providers in terms of trying to classify how to interact with it and provide investors with some sort of consumer protection
Yeah, exactly.
framework. Um, and yeah, we've been definitely been speaking to other dApps that are looking to comply with this cross-border rule, as you had mentioned. I forgot the exact term, but yeah, dApps are being regulated at an application level, and it makes a ton of sense to enforce those rules at protocol level, so all players can play and operate on the same space, with the same knowledge base, and that's definitely something that was attractive to us. And as the substrate ecosystem grows, obviously it's going to come to the forefront of the investor's mind in the short term. That's definitely one of the reasons why we were so interested in Pontem. And not to mention, I think we are the first Oracle integration on your parachain.
Correct.
So that's definitely always having that first mover advantage is something that's I think paramount to not only us but any other builder. Having access to those stats, being able to support them with the data definitely is of great interest to us. So talking a bit about the integration, would love to talk about some of the things that we'd be able to provide you, right? So as a primer, we have, tons of market price data that we're sourcing from centralized and decentralized exchanges. Um, Not, prices on an execution level. We're able to then push those on chain for you guys. Not only are we able to get data from other blockchains, other EVM chains, other parachains, and then bring that to you. So what we're doing is you're effectively providing pricing based on those localized liquidity sources. We can also provision you with, the ability to settle finality on the chain, etc. So I think those are things that both Alejo and I and the rest of the teams are quite interested in building out. Alejo, I would love to hear your thoughts about some of the things that you are focusing on, us, provisioning you not only Pontem directly, but some of the dApps that'll look to build on your network.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the most interesting use cases will be cross-parachain DeFi. So currently we're seeing an explosion in the Kusama Polkadot ecosystem on Moonriver. A lot of the same types of applications that I've been working on Ethereum, like AMMs, lending, borrowing protocols, etc., can work just within the Moonriver ecosystem as a scaling solution to Ethereum. However, the benefit of Polkadot and Kusama is that you can have different parachains with purpose-built logic for them that one are more efficient because they're purpose-built for that use case, and two can have very different a very different applications, such as, for example, IoT. So the most interesting thing will be cross parachain DeFi and working with DIA, being able to source data directly from other parachains that can have, as you mentioned, finality on chain will be great. So one of the applications that we're building in-house actually is a way to automate and chain together transactions across parachain so that, for example, if you wanted to do a swap, then stake, and essentially then swap again on another protocol, similar to a Zapier transaction,
Yeah.
for example, that you can link together and automate transactions across these different chains. You'd be able to code that and actually build that. So that's one that we're working in-house to build and provide as well that will work across the Kusama, first across the Kusama ecosystem. But you can imagine how then something that's on Karura, for example, a swap that's on Karura, can then, let's say as a use case, there's an arbitrage opportunity between an AMM and Karura and an AMM on parallel finance. You can then automate, and maybe even with a flash loan as well, if there's lend protocols available, to then be able to take use of this arbitrage opportunity. That one makes the markets more efficient, and two allows people to use this application across the different parachains. So that's one area that we're excited in being able to implement. We're not seeing that yet on Kusama Polkadot, a lot of cross parachain use cases. And yeah, I think the necessary infrastructure for data availability for oracles is very necessary to make this happen.
Yeah, no, definitely agreed. I think something we've been focusing on, and we've pushed out a couple integrations in the last few weeks that are with trading protocols. So we integrated with Conversation the other day, synthetic derivatives trading protocol, and we've been adding a ton of stable coins protocols that are building across different parachains in order to source their data directly from them. And also, something we've been noticing across all of those is the need for cross-chain data. Everybody is no longer operating within the silos that they're secluded to, and like you said, a lot of these projects that are building on ETH are now porting over to Moonbeam, Moonriver, obviously because of the address format familiarity. That's obviously a huge onboarding friction point that's been removed. And a lot of the dApps that we spoke to earlier in this year, we're doing beta testing on ETH or on BSC, and they're waiting for parachain slots, for parachains to go live, and for the slots that they're interested in deploying on to win the bid. So I think we're going to see a massive explosion in terms of dApps. You'll see a lot of AMMs, a lot of DEXs that will want to use the features that Polkadot supports for growing and obviously for building. So yeah, Alejo, thanks for the overview. Very keen on building a lot of stuff with you guys, supporting that product that you described. Honestly, sounds very interesting. And having a compliance aspect already built in makes onboarding tons of liquidity a lot easier.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it'll open the door for institutions to feel safe using these DeFi applications. I think a lot of them still are hesitant to be able to transact in these, not knowing exactly what the other side of this of the trade is. So that's a huge
yeah,
benefit of yeah, complying with the FATF framework.
yeah, and I think that's very evident if you look at the TVL in certain pools. On ETH, for example, if you look at Curve or Aave, or whatever you choose, you can see that the stable pools obviously have quite a bit more TVL, a lot more liquidity than say the long tail assets, and that makes sense, obviously, and it's again a function of institutional comfort. What is it that they can pass to their investors? What is it that they can pass off to regulators when it comes to mark their books at the end of the year? And those pools obviously carry um, a risk ratio that's much more palatable to their funders, to their backers, to their principal providers rather. So um, I would like to move on to some of the community questions that we have. I know that was a slate of questions that we had chosen beforehand. The first one that came in is a bit more related to us, asking the difference between DIA and other oracles like Chainlink. So I alluded to this earlier. DIA, we follow more of a distributed architecture. I know Chainlink is very much a leader in the decentralized Oracle space. That's one of their main selling points, rightfully so. But we kind of circumvent that, and we believe that distributed architecture helps produce better data. So we've seen our indexes perform during anomalic price periods. Defined as a flash crash or extraneous bid on one exchange, perform much better than other on-chain data feeds or even traditional index reference rate data feeds that we benchmark against. That's something that we're very proud of. Able to pull those executions from those centralized, decentralized exchanges and build out these indexes that calculate prices in real time. So definitely something that we are a fan of. And then secondly, we're able to build out indexes not only for your large cap assets, but also things that are long tail. Something that's been very attractive, I think, for Pontem, for other dApps, other protocols that we've integrated with. Liquidity, I guess more so alpha on the large caps has dried up. We saw a dry up in spot markets over 2017 through 2019, and now derivatives are largely controlled with the flow of open interest from um, the more niche exchanges like Binance to CME. So alpha continues to drive there on those large assets. So there is retail demand for long tail asset price discovery, and it's something that we've been placing importance on and focus on. Moving on, chill D a little bit less, but the next question is for you, Alejo and Pontem. Pretty basic question, I think, for you. It's how is Pontem different to other blockchains in simple terms? So I guess we're looking for a vanilla explanation for a fifth grader, if you can.
Yeah, I would say our two main differentiation points is that one, we allow compatibility with the upcoming Diem blockchain. Meta, we believe, and Diem is likely to be as big, if not bigger, than other layer ones. However, there will be barriers to entry. One, the technology is different. They invented a new language. It's built on Rust, but it's an entirely new language called Move. And two, as I mentioned, applications will need to comply with regulatory frameworks that exist. Now, these regulatory frameworks are definitely new, but not too hard to abide by. KYC ML providers are, especially that support crypto, are out there and will be helping integrate into them. Two, we're providing, as I mentioned, a space for applications that are regulatory compliant to exist and connect to liquidity from the full permissionless crypto space. So from Bitcoin, Ethereum, obviously to Kusama, Polkadot, and in the future, other layer ones. That way, one, applications can start testing their product market fit within this permissionless ecosystem. and then start migrating what makes sense over to DM. So you can imagine maybe not all applications, like maybe some financial products like derivatives might not be allowed on DM, but you could still, in a compliant manner, operate these applications as a DeFi developer on Pontem.
Makes sense. Thanks for that. I think we'll also ask the next question to you, um, which is what areas are Pontem focusing on? Some of the ones that they highlighted were tech, efficiency, marketing. Feel free to take freedom on that question and to answer it.
Yeah, definitely. Given that DM is really focusing on this idea of the metaverse, we believe that gaming and social applications will likely be great use cases. We don't see, so definitely as a general purpose smart contract platform, any application can really be built on top of Pontem, but it's about the integrations that we bring, the tooling, the partnerships that we form that allow certain types of applications to flourish. So one area that we want to focus on at first is gaming, especially in the area of NFT primitives. So how do we allow applications to launch NFTs, have a front end that is either very basic, so it's like an an in-browser game that then they can later scale to something more complex, like a VR application on Oculus, using the same NFT primitives that they launch for their browser experience. So one, you can think of one use case of this as being Pokemon Go, where their Pokemon actually just with your account, you can take your Pokemon that you have and play it on your phone. You can also play it on your Nintendo Switch. I think these types of applications that allow you to be cross-platform, but also across different, essentially interoperate with other games as well, will be the future of this Web3 gaming. So we want to allow this type of applications to be built, and that'll entail, for example, bringing on board NFT marketplaces, bringing on board connections and SDKs for Unreal game engine and other game engines that people are using that are essentially going to be very popular for these applications to be built. We also want to enable DeFi use cases, but first focusing on gaming, I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think that's where the market's moving. You're seeing a lot of, like the past couple of days, you saw a few blue chip brands and Amoka
Mhm.
partnering with the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT project, and then yesterday Nike bought Artifact Studios. And you're seeing a lot of traditional game developers in Solana ecosystem as a prime example. I think that's a good comp to Dot ecosystem. You're seeing a lot of developers from EA, from traditional game studios moving over to build, obviously, on chain. I think they see the value add there in terms of creating an economy around the game that they've invested a ton of time on and playing the tokenomics there. And investors are definitely very interested in working on the tokenomics for these guys and building out these advanced ecosystems.
Yeah, and that
And
economy can then move outside of the game. You can think of something like Diablo as an example, which probably already has secondary markets for items. And
yeah,
then how did the yeah exactly, and then how did the game developers themselves still are able to reap revenues or get the revenues from those secondary markets, and NFTs is a natural way to do that. And then once games become composable and start being able to interact with each other through these items, I think we'll also start seeing economies sort of merge, in-game economies start merging, which will be really interesting to see.
yeah, and it's I think a good example is Star Atlas, right? A lot of people compare that to EVE Online. One of the things that made it so popular was how you know you can play with these in-game ecosystems, use them effectively, and I think that DeFi will be a natural next step next to gaming because of different things you can do with staking, different things you can do with lending out on the games themselves. But moving on from that, I think we'll have one more question here from the Dia side. It's about our community in terms of how we manage the project. So we've been moving more towards utilizing our DAO, and something we've been doing over the course of our lifetime is leaning heavily on the community um, to build out feeds to suggest new feeds, new markets, new integrations. It's something that's being amplified in our governance page as of recently. So yeah, we're definitely building a project that we want community to have significant input in, and very excited about that. Obviously, we'll still be here. We have best practices, best knowledge, the way things should be done, and we want to be able to curate those. Want to be able to offer input and sort of direct the project in a direction that we think best reflects changing narratives in the space. Partnering with Pontem is definitely one of them. Very excited about the things that they're doing in the substrate ecosystem. Dia obviously has taken an extremely long bet on the substrate ecosystem. Since day one, we've been building, providing off-chain worker. We've recently added Oracle palettes, integrated with now with 4 parachains, and looking to add more. Continuously looking to add dApps and support them in any which way as possible. It's definitely a strong focus of ours, and we're very excited to work with Pontem. I know Alejo can say the same, and we're excited to see where they go with the project and protocol that they're building. Before we sign off, Alejo, and you say final thoughts, I will add that we are going to be doing another AMA right after this on the Pontem Telegram channel. So I encourage everybody to hop over there. There's some more context that we'll be able to offer based on questions that were pushed over to the Pontem network, through their community pages. So we'll be answering questions there, offering any additional color or context that's needed. Alejo, if you have anything else you want to add, feel free to do so now. Otherwise, I'll see you in a few minutes on the Telegram chat.
Yeah, definitely. So we're looking to launch our parachain auction really soon. We're aiming for slot lease 20, which means our crowd loan will be slot lease 19, which starts February 19th. We're really excited to have a lot of the community support. We have over 38,000 people pre-registered with our terms and conditions and signaling with their Kusama address. So we're excited to have this much community support for our parachain launch coming up soon. And yeah, really excited to see what other applications are built, especially across parachains here in the Kusama Polkadot ecosystem. And thank you, Dia, for supporting this ecosystem with integrating your oracles. Definitely very needed, and excited to see you guys grow.
Yep, certainly. Great. Thank you.